Welcome back to the channel, A.R.T's Real Repairs for Real Customers. This video was intended to be an introductory video to cloth repair. Now, I've wanted to do this way before now, but I was hoping that there would be an infrastructure, because if you show something new, there could be new products, and you want the viewer to be able to go to his supplier and have those products ready. Wouldn't it be nice if one of the suppliers had called in previous years and said, "Rick, we understand you have a new cloth repair system. What can I do to put together a kit so that when people call, I can send it out?" It's not happening. Your supplier doesn't care about a new cloth repair. Can you imagine that? Well, we've got an introductory video here that will be new to many of you folks out there repairing right now. So a new way of repairing logically would require a new way of thinking. And a new way of thinking means that we have to let go of the old way of thinking. Now, that's not easy, right? We don't like to change sometimes and let go of our thinking, especially if it insinuates that the way we've been thinking about it is wrong. Well, it's not wrong. It's just that we have new and improved. And so what's a great incentive to develop a new way of thinking and get rid of the old? Well, if we are not having the results that we really need in the field, then we're ready to go on to something new. In fact, you will know, I posted in a previous video that I polled a group of technicians, and amongst the things that they saw the need for improvements in cloth repair was adhesion to the cloth seat, a better structure of the base repair, a better appearance of the final result, and a better feel of the final result as well. So I was glad to hear those comments, because that let me know that they are ready to let go of the old, and they were hungry for the new. So that's good. So one of the first things I think, and this is just my opinion, one of the first things we could do is to let go of the word velour. Sometimes we refer to velour repair. When is the last time you had velour? Okay, was it 1985? We don't see it that much anymore. And what we see is a tighter weave these days. We see a lot of what's called sport cloth, and that's just a general term to encompass those kinds of materials that will last under harsh environments. It's more of a flat woven polyester, and it really doesn't have any nap to it at all. So we have a variation between traditional cloth and sport cloth that we see, but we don't have any velour. So if we were to drop that term, it would show that we are trying to keep up to date, right? It would show that we're informed and we're aware, we're in the know, right? And we're not stuck in the past by using an old-fashioned term. So I think it's good. Now, if we can drop it, and every once in a while we might say it because it's an old habit, isn't it? But if we make a mental effort to get rid of the old term, that's the mental exercise that we want to undertake in order to have a fresh perspective. Right? It's a mindset that allows for the freedom to expand and the freedom to move forward. By the way, there is a plant not far from me that still makes velour. None of it is sold in the United States. It all goes to Japan, from what I understand. So what is the term that we could use? Well, simply cloth repair. That gets it done, doesn't it? And what is cloth? Well, as we mentioned, most of what we see in cloth today is polyester. And what is polyester? It's plastic. So going in, we need to have the frame of mind that we are actually thinking about plastic repair. Okay? Now, with that mindset, then, everything that you see in this new method will make sense. It will enable you to see the advantage of a new approach to cloth repair. Let's take a look at my kit. And here it is. Everything fits in one toolbox, except, of course, for the cleaners and the cloth fibers in those red boxes. The first items are from my sewing kit, which goes in that little bag. And what I wanted to emphasize is that for the 3-inch curved needles, both the round point and what's called a square point, both of those should be 16 gauge. Now for the 4-inch needles, both the round point and the square point for leather, those should be 15 gauge. If we go with any lighter gauge needles than those, I'm afraid you're setting yourself up for trouble, and you're going to increase the level of difficulty on your sewing. Get the right tools, you'll enjoy it. In this video, we're not going to spend a lot of time on the cleaning part of the cloth seats. We are going to show, however, using the acetone and a terry cloth to dry clean the seat before repairing. Sport cloth is infamous for water spots, so we're going to use the solvent adhesion promoter and a solvent adhesive in our kit. For our new approach, these must be sprayed through a gun, and I keep a gun with a different color just for these clears, just for the adhesion promoter and the clear solvent. So nothing water-based ever goes through this gun, and nothing with color ever goes through this gun either. And I fear I've lost 95% of my audience already. But please use the gun and experience the benefits of being all in, because bear in mind, we're analyzing each step of the process, closely analyzing the performance of each product and each tool, so that we're strengthening each link of the chain towards our end result. That's our new mindset. Keeping a weak link destroys everything. And you might ask, why is the gun so effective? As this rather crude graphic illustrates, if we spray with the old ways, a low PSI, low atomization, so that we have droplets of adhesive, the droplets sit on top of the fiber. Whereas if we spray with a higher PSI and get finer atomization, that is a mist, then our product surrounds the fiber. It gets a grip on the fiber instead of sitting on top. You wanted better adhesion? How about a firm grip? The pre-colored fiberglass reinforcement is for larger repairs. Now, we don't have any of the larger repairs in this video, but we will be using the pre-colored repair material. Now, you can use any heat cure repair compound here, but my preference is the fiberglass added repair compound. Not just because of the fiberglass, but because it's very sticky, and I want to stick my cloth fibers to this heat-cured compound. Why the various colors? When you add fibers to any object, you can see between the fibers to the object below. So whatever is below the fibers should be a similar color. For example, if you're flocking a jewelry box with black fiber, you want a black adhesive so that when you see between the fibers, it all looks the same color. For some repairs, this may not be that critical, but for others, it's very necessary. Since cloth repairs come in a variety of sizes, I think it's wise also to have a variety of sizes of palette knives and, of course, tweezers. Personally, I'm doing all my repair work with a travel iron and a heavy-duty Teflon mat. You can cut this mat to various sizes, so you have something for every kind of repair. A simple puffer for the fibers seems to be appropriate for most modern cloth. We don't use the electrostatic applicator much anymore when we're doing seats, but more for A-pillars and headliner material. In fact, I wasn't teaching this new process for several years until I completed my own electrostatic applicator. Why did I need a new electrostatic applicator? Because it's the only one in the world that also vibrates when you turn it on. That was a no-brainer, and I couldn't believe that no one else thought of doing this. Imagine the fibers vibrating up into the magnetic field. And for future reference, I also took time to make a manual complete with a parts list and illustrated assembly instructions. Something helpful when you're mixing various colors of fibers or even some old fibers that have clumped together is a robust herb blender. I also have a product that I use as a fixative, that is, as a final spray that might be a little bit stronger than the initial adhesive. I have a couple different sizes of stainless screens for ironing a texture into my final product. Now, my stock of fibers is in the 2-ounce sizes, which might be more than what many of you are carrying. So I've divided them up here: dark grays, light grays, tans. If you think you have the blues, so do I. I have a whole box of them. And reds. Blues and reds not so popular, but when you need one, you need one. And colored pencils, of course, for those designs. Water-based pencil marks get trapped between 2 layers of solvent clear. That way they last. So that's your quick overview. Let's see it put to work. We have this cigarette burn to fix in a cloth that actually does have a bit of nap to it. I'm going to dry clean the entire section by using acetone and a terry cloth towel. Of course, if the detailers didn't do a good job, you could have used the degreaser lightly over the entire surface of the whole seat and dried that down and then followed up with the acetone. I want to be sure to do the entire panel because if in the end we find that we need to blend any of the flocking, well, we're ready to do that. Plus, I want to clean up these other panels to boot. And we're going to follow up immediately with our adhesion promoter. We can go the entire panel and not hurt anything. I'm going to tuck a little bit of paper towel into the hole to fill the void, but I want a base to sit my repair compound onto, and that base will be just down to the thickness of the cloth. My repair will be only the thickness of the original cloth. Here I'm filling to level this hole with my medium gray heat cure repair compound. This is the very sticky compound, as I mentioned, on purpose. It doesn't level good because it's so sticky and wants to stick to your palette knife. But don't worry, because we're coming back with some fiber. So I don't have the exact color for this seat as a stock color. The one I showed you was a little bit dark. This one's kind of light. This one has a bit of green to it. I know it might not be visible that there's green in this picture. But what I've done is I've mixed them all together. And I've got something that looks a little bit light. And I'm going to go with that because sometimes on the heat curing process, it darkens up a little bit. If I make my base fiber light a little bit, I think I'm going to be better off. So I'm going to put my fiber mixture into the puffer straight away. And I'm going to cover the heat cure repair material with fiber. Then we can take an appropriate palette knife and use that to tamp the fibers down so they stick into the repair compound. Here apparently I needed to tamp some down so I didn't have any wet or sticky compound showing. And I know this is a recess hard to get into and show you at the same time because I'm getting in the way. Now, prior to heat curing this, I am applying extra fiber in a heavy layer, sort of as a buffer, just so that when we're pressing down with the iron, none of the compound can come up and hit the bottom of our Teflon. The iron is ready in just a few seconds, by the way, as soon as you plug it in. And I'm at the full setting on this iron, and you just have to get accustomed to how much time that you can dwell on here, depending on the thickness of your repair compound usually. But this makes you a permanent base. The base is plenty flocked already, and it's in there. It's permanent. It's not coming out. But of course we want to blend it out. We're putting some adhesive with our gun directly onto the repair and flocking just a light bit, just a very faint powder. In fact, you see we're doing it again, just a little bit at a time. So it's just a little bit of fiber and a little bit of mist of adhesive in alternate layers. There's never any dried fiber. There's never any buildup of adhesive either. So depending on your particular job that you're at, you might see the need to blend further. You can always blend further. Why? Because we've already put the adhesion promoter through the whole panel. It's always a light mist of adhesive followed by a light dusting of the fiber. Now we've got another repair to do, a similar kind of cigarette burn, but the pattern of this cloth is much different. I don't know what this little bit of white is. It looks like it's bleached because it won't clean out. So that was our acetone step, and here's our adhesion promoter. Wide enough in case we have to blend later. Again, we can tuck in a base just so we're repairing only the thickness of the fabric, and that is all. This seat is a little darker than the other one. I have one black here, another black here. One is automotive black and one is a pure black, but they are too strong. Here's something I had left over in my kit from all the many grays that I have to mix, and I'm thinking that's going to be the one. And we'll just get a visual on these other ones. The pure black and the automotive black, which is a little browner. Getting closer, but not what we needed. So apparently what I had mixed up previously was for this kind of a seat, which is pretty popular. It looks a bit light for this seat, but I'm going to go with it because, as I said before, sometimes the appearance after ironing is a bit darker. We can always adjust it later, even putting a second layer on our repair area once we've adjusted if we needed to. I do it all the time. Now, for compound color, I only had the lighter gray color that we used previously. So here I'm going to make some black. I'm putting a workable amount of the heat-cured fiber compound here, and I'm going to take some black pigment, just one drop, There we go, 1 drop, but I'm not going to use the whole drop because this pigment goes a long, long way. All I just want is a little piece of that. Just like that. And you'll see that it goes a long way. And we don't need our repair compound to be strictly black. We need it to be somewhat of a dark color underneath our fiber, as we mentioned, something similar under there. So I've just taken some time to get it all mixed up, and we're ready to go. Again, the fiber can go right into the puffer at the start. I'm going to get this as level as I can. Remember, it's sticky, so generally it doesn't level out completely until I get the fiber on it. And so here we go with the fiber. Put the fiber on it. Now it's dry, and now it's easily tamped down flat like we wanted. And while we're at it, let's take care of that little bleached spot. You don't have to worry about putting the repair compound directly on the surface of the cloth. Every time you get a shirt screen printed, you're doing exactly the same thing. Here's where I'm putting extra fiber just as a buffer for the ironing process. Once the ironing is done, we can kick all that extra fiber off the repair. And here we're just keeping track of our inventory. We don't need too much dwell time because our compound is not very thick. I did get a little wide of the material. On some materials, it's obvious where you've ironed, but that doesn't stay. That'll take care of itself, not to worry. We can always iron the entire panel. So in this case, it looks like I could have made my base repair a little darker. It didn't darken up as much as I anticipated. We can make an adjustment and blend it. We can start with our spray adhesive just on the repair. Keep it small. And remember, it's good to go a little bit at a time. If you're worried about the paint gun blowing away some fibers that you put down previously, the only fibers that are going to be blown away are the ones that are not stuck into the adhesive anyway. So all the fibers are going to be anchored securely all the way through this flocking. So one thing I'm going to do is look at this from another angle. And from another angle, we can see that it is a bit hairy. We have a heavier nap than we need on this particular panel. So what can we do? As we do with all of the sport cloth, we iron this down. So we can take our Teflon and put over the whole panel and just iron it nice and flat. And it's on there permanently. It feels nice and soft because we've put light layers of adhesive and light layers of dusting of fiber leaves it feeling very soft. Let's do one more blend. In fact, it's not uncommon for me to do one light blend after I have done the ironing. It's just a light dusting to blend everything out. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you appreciate having a more permanent cloth repair now, one where the base repair is done. When it's cured, it's done. You don't have to worry about any kind of an air dry filler taking forever and recessing and so forth. It's one and done. Well, okay, there you go. I hope you found that informative, something that you'd like to try. I think if you're not doing this, you need it. I have had other technicians correspond with me that they are so excited to be able to have this method because they're finally able to achieve the results they've been needing all along. In fact, I think we should have been repairing cloth this way from the very beginning. So don't be afraid to get a new box, all new tooling, and get set up right so you can move efficiently on this new process. Don't be afraid if it takes you longer to get in the habit of this process initially, but get set up and get efficient, and then you'll find it goes by even more speedily than your previous repair method. Thanks for hanging in there, and we'll have more elaborate updates on cloth repair in the future. See you then.